few things have changed since my update on Mac. Get on here. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, good. It looks like we're going to have all sorts of things go on here. Relogging in, all sorts of neat stuff. Always fun. I don't know if anybody's here. Nope, nobody is here yet. So, always fun relogging in. If I can remember what it is. Oops. And it is. Well then. Not going to deal with signing into certain things I'm supposed to be signed into. Just going to be what it is. Hey, Ariana. Yeah, my office area has been recently reorganized. It is gorgeous and much more flexible, and I am enjoying the space much. As a matter of fact, we've done a whole bunch of work outside the house as well. In fact, I was just working on a place down to the stream, getting things cleared out there. It's got everything pressure washed yesterday. So anyway, you may not even be present anymore. Regardless, I'm gonna go ahead and get into full stream here. Yeah, oh my goodness, we went from like 1 to 2 to 1 to 5, a whole bunch of people. So I don't know who all's on, but welcome everybody anyway. So good morning to Monday morning grounding, or Monday morning, whatever you would like to call it. Might not even be Monday morning for you. It might be Monday afternoon. And hell, if somebody sees this recording, hey Jay, if somebody sees this recording, then it might not be morning or afternoon or evening. It might be some other time in some other place. Who knows? So I was present to a conversation that a friend and I were having yesterday about how we kind of process information and see it, how we organize it in our lives. And I had made the claim several days ago that I was a top-down thinker, and she'd counterclaimed she was a bottom-up. And over the next several days, as I processed that juxtaposition between her and I realized that I had only given part of the information in the statement, I am a top-down thinker. I didn't really give credit to or honest assessment about how that isn't just a single thing, a single processing. Yeah, the signal might be dropping, and there's not much I'm going to be able to do about it. So I will, present the recording. Unfortunately, that's the extent of my ability at the moment. So thank you, Jay. I appreciate knowing that. It's unfortunate, but I'll keep on trying. Um, anyway, as when I had expressed the idea of being a top-down thinker, and then had to come back and reflect on, well, that was that what I meant, or is that a complete picture? And it wasn't what I meant, and and it isn't a complete picture, or at least it wasn't what I meant in in a grander picture. It might have been. It might have meant. Might have been what I meant in the moment. Sorry, I should actually face the camera. I always look over here. Maybe I should just go ahead and just minimize this just to make sure that it's less distracting. In fact, this is what I can do. I can pop out the chat to make it a little bit easier. That is better, I think. So, what I realize about myself in the moment is that I often take a frame or a piece of myself and present it as this is all there is. Um, so, Ariana, great question. Top down thinking is a way of embracing what there is from a meta perspective. The larger the picture, or at least the more complete larger picture overview, um, the easier it is to frame information within categories or sections of that broad overview. So think of it as, kind of a management schema, a traditional management schema for information and ways of thinking. At the top, you've got your CEO. He sees the entire picture. But on a day-to-day scale, he's not going to see the mail coming through. And so a bottom-up thinker may really want to build a really, yes, bottoms up. Cheers. Bottom up thinker wants to have something foundational as a simple element, typically, at least this is the way I envision it or would explain it, to then build on. For the sake of a metaphor, you don't build a house with the rafters and the roof typically in place first. You put the foundation in place first, and then you support everything on top of it. So that's how I would exemplify the difference between bottom up and tops down. Top down is just wanting the broad picture within the scope of what the workflow is supposed to be, or the enmeshment of ideas, and bottoms up is wanting that foundational piece put in place first. And so I functioned in anyway. So I've functioned in both roles, and but always really, really wanted, out of typically a sense of needing to feel safer, wanted to see the entire picture, or at least as much of the entire picture as I could, before then and diving into smaller aspects, more detailed aspects, and then learning them. Thank you. Yeah. Um, and this actually follows up on a conversation a riff that I was doing the other day. Not having been particularly well socialized into traditional peer networks and social structures, um, there's kind of some kind of social slash teamwork gene that some people have that I just don't. I have to try really hard to operate within a group environment and remain effective until I have a pretty clear focus. Um, So I see a lot of synthesis happening, but unless other people see that same synthesis, then I don't feel empowered to create avenues through which that synthesis can happen, and instead dive down in specific spots where I can feel like I can make a difference and have a certain amount of expertise. Ariana, we talk about the levels of mastery, and I think in some respects we're talking about similar things or adjacent ideas. Bottom down, top up. How do you embrace the idea of mastery, or how do you embrace the idea of novelty, or how do you embrace the idea of ignorance or arrogance? Um, so, knowing that, I kind of often need to be comfortable with a meta narrative, the larger picture, before that's funny. I have a person who I am in co-creation with, and I admire him. and the way he presents things at times, that I find myself in the moment emulating his way of speaking. So, Jonathan, if you are listening, shout out to you. You're who I'm talking about. Um, but yeah, so I find myself in the awareness, knowing that needing that meta awareness. Then also, once I have that meta awareness, needing to have the focus to feel effective, not remaining in limbo of meta awareness, is a really important piece of information for me, because I then have the ability to communicate this with my team members and say, hey, look, I don't know what I'm doing here, or I don't know how to function here. And here's what I understand. Here's what I can see. Here's what I'm good at. Can you help find direction? Or do you see a natural point of synthesis where my skills and talents and ways of seeing then contribute in a value additive way? Can they make me feel good about what I have and who I am, not just being some kind of piece of the puzzle that fits into place because it's convenient? And that's always the role I've taken. So, gosh, I don't know how long I've been sitting here riffing. I need to go to my window here, I guess, and find out. Uh, let's see. Guess I've been going, only like 12 minutes. That seems like it's been a lot longer than that. Interesting. So, anyway, one of the things I didn't do coming into here is introduce myself. So I guess I'll make the introduction now. My name is Robin, and I am one of the what we call co-founders of ZLab and Azabel Academy. It feels like a role I slipped into rather than chose. Um, and I have the honor and privilege of working with a bunch of individuals who know me to be perfectly imperfect, and I know them to be also that. Um, and we have a set of 5 values um, that we have been talking about recently, and using them as a metric to decide or to explore, are we engaging in the way that we want to in the world, or in our corporation, business, or groups, circles, friendships, or relationships, romantic relationships, regardless, with our children. At least that's how I interpret these values, and that's how I use them for myself in my life. And they are wholeness, intimacy, compassion, co-creation, attunement. I always forget the fourth. And it's not always the same fourth, but when I get to the fourth, my mind is full, and I can't bring that fourth one out without, or fifth one out without looking. Well, often. And so, I think wholeness is one of my favorites in many respects, because we often look through the world, or yeah, I view as Streambo. I don't know who Current Trance is, but okay. Uh, I guess that's a website. Interesting. Current Transfer. Well, thank you. I think I don't know enough about things to know whether to thank you or not. So I'll just go with that. Um, but wholeness is an interesting concept in today's culture, because we talk about wholeness, we talk about being whole, and yet we spend so much time breaking things down into the categories, trying to discern something from another, trying to decide whether it's something we want or don't want. And often in our blindness, or at least often in my blindness, when I decide that I want something pretty wholeheartedly, what I'm often blind to is the part that I didn't realize I wasn't wanting or wasn't fond of or didn't want to deal with. And so wholeness for me takes on a whole new purview in that respect, because even as somebody who enjoys doing something called parts work, if you're familiar with the terminology, it's a model through which we have the ability to create dialogues with pieces of our personality or our past or trauma informed mm, past. Um, we have a dialogue with them. When they're considered stuck, almost like pieces of personality that have their own purpose and their own agenda and their own messages, and somehow in time they got stuck in and um, they need to be released. They need to be integrated. So even in my love for that model of work, I recognize that the goal is to feel whole and integrated. The reality is that wholeness is a state of being that is only as small as our large as our ability to perceive its boundary. So, for instance, or perceive the breaking of its boundary. For instance, I did this exercise with somebody else another time. Let's see if I can find a piece of paper to do this with easily. That's not a piece of paper that I want to utilize. Okay, we'll use a tissue paper. This is a whole tissue, and I can make the choice to rip it in half, and one could say that is now two pieces of tissue that I've irreparably changed it, broken it, destroyed it, whatever, because it's now two pieces. That's true, but it's also two distinct wholes now. And the idea of it being whole still exists in the past and in the future. When I can exemplify it by providing another example of a whole tissue. It's not magic, it's simply our idea of causation being able to be examined in both directions. Do I have two pieces, or were they the same piece of the same tissue? I dissolved them in a solution of water. It's going to become one whole thing again within the solution of the water, settling out at different degrees, but it's still a whole. So going back to how I exemplified or expressed myself as a top-down thinker, as a somebody who wants to see the meta narrative, it's always that. And it's always then, okay, what's the next whole picture from there that I want to explore? And that's only a concept that I'm starting to bring to the idea of myself as a person, as a being, as somebody who emotes and expresses and has ideas and interacts. That's only something that I'm starting really to learn and deepen in a somatic and emotional and intellectual and soulful way here in the last few years. And in part of that, I really attribute that to my involvement here in Z-Lab and as a member of As Above Academy, where we really start diving deep into all these things with one another, both in the context of what we want to share with everybody around us and in environments like this, but also in the context of what do we have to share with each other. So So if you're done with hearing me talk, at least about myself, my interests, how they relate to or don't relate to the world that you may understand or see, I'm going to offer you a brief grounding and contemplation. And here, what we're going to use for inspiration. Let's see what today's inspirational quote says. through the wall of flame. As a frightened man in a burning boat has only one way to the rest of his life, we must move with courage through the wall of flame into the greater sea. As a frightened man in a burning boat has only one way to the rest of his life, we must move with courage through the wall of flame into the greater sea. Sorry, Anna, I'm going to defer that for a moment here, and I'm going to invite everybody to just take a moment to breathe about 30 seconds, maybe 10. Yeah, let's breathe about 10 seconds, and I'm going to ask you to settle in and silence into your seat and just get comfortable. Find your body trusting the surface below you, behind you, knowing that in this moment, your body has nothing to worry about. It can simply relax. And listening around, noticing that nothing's amiss, that everything's okay, that things are as they should be. And I want you to simply sense into your life right now. Maybe it's this current moment, sitting here. Maybe it's something earlier this morning or yesterday or earlier this week, or a stream of events that sit with you. And I just want you to notice the energy of what you're sitting with. Are you tense, concerned? Are you joyful? And then if there's something that feels like a door that needs to be opened, like a window that needs to be open so fresh air can blow through, like a wall of flame that you need to dive through. What's standing in your way right now of being where you want to be, of feeling safe, of feeling secure, or of feeling like you can explode out of your shell and start exploring your life? What's standing in your way? Allow that to get big inside of you. And allow yourself to know in this moment, whether in 5 minutes or 5 years, when you're ready to walk through that wall of flame, that door, or just open the window to a fresh breeze, you have it within you to decide what you want and move towards it. And if you need support, there are always people and places and techniques to offer that to you. All you need to do is ask. So I'm going to invite you to take another deep breath and slowly start moving your body, your fingers and toes, your arms, shifting your seat. Maybe it's twirling, rotating in an office chair. Bringing movement back to your body. When you're ready, open your eyes back up and allow yourself to feel into whatever your day brings with a sense of surety that you can take it on. And that if you need it, all you have to do is ask, and you will find the resource you need. You just have to ask, or maybe keep asking. And if you'd like, you can also join us on Facebook over at As Above Academy. And we have a webpage, asaboveacademy.com. We're starting to do these Twitch broadcasts much more often and releasing them on YouTube, also As Above Academy. So I appreciate all of you being here. And Ariana, I apologize. I have no idea. I stole it from Dina from her scavenged garage sale art pile. And instead of her painting over it and doing what she does, see, always talking to the other screen. Instead of painting over it, absconded with it. And at some point, maybe I'll scan it, and so I will know. Somebody has told me, and um, it is what it is. I think it actually says peace, love, life, or nope, sun, earth, moon, top down, sun, earth, moon. See, if I just opened my eyes, changed my perspective, I could have given you an answer right away. Now, whether or not that's actually truly accurate, it could say any number of other things that I couldn't even know or guess because I do not read Japanese. So, anyway, I hope enough of this came through that. You all were able to enjoy it. And if not, I will be putting the recording up for us to download onto our YouTube channel at some point. Hope you all have a wonderful Monday afternoon or evening or morning or whatever time, day, location it is when you happen to see this. So take care.